Hey, Fed heads, welcome back to another episode of Cigar Chat. I played the right intro again this time. That's two cigar chats in a row, but I think that might be two sharing our pairings in a row where I got it wrong. But, that's all right. So I'm your host, Trip. We're here broadcast live on Facebook, broadcast around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network, and then, of course, available on YouTube as a replay and whatever your favorite podcast catcher is. Wherever you get podcasts, you can get us there. If you're watching on Facebook, interact with us. We're going to maybe give away some stuff in a little bit, so get those questions ready. If you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, give us a like, a thumbs up, leave some comments. We'll comment back. Let us know what you think. And I'm here with my guest co-host, or I guess my regular co-host, since it's been a hot minute since I've had a different co-host. But I'm here with Jason. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy about the temperature right now. It's about 50 degrees. It's not raining at the moment. That's always a good fall in Portland.
Yeah. And you guys haven't seen him yet, but we've got a special guest here for the show. Hiding behind a cigar box there, it is none other than Nick Melillo, a.k.a. Nick R. Agua. Nick, how you doing, my brother?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's been too long. I'm excited about this show.
Yeah, man, it's been a hot minute. It's been quite a while since you've been on the show. I didn't realize that until we started scheduling this, which we had to push back a couple times, but that happens.
Man, schedule's been crazy. Crazy, but I think it's been since we launched Elway Wednesday, which is October of like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, yeah, we got a lot to catch up on.
Yeah. So
you guys couldn't see me. I was taunting the crowd.
Off that beautiful box.
Yeah.
So let's talk first about just where Foundation came from. I mean, people who have been keeping an eye on what's been going on know that this isn't your first time in the industry. You've been around for quite a while. So talk about your journey into the industry first.
Yeah, been around for 21 years now, in the industry since 1996, and pretty much all the Foundation crew that's working with me too have all been in the business for a while. So new company, but we're all I don't know what classifies as veterans, but I think we're getting close. I started in the industry running a retail shop, humidor in Connecticut called the Calabash Shop in 1996. And that's when I first got my first go, and fell in love with handmade cigars. Just as I was starting university and studying international business, and these two ladies I worked for at the shop gave me put a lot of confidence in my palate and my love for the business back in '96. So yeah, man, it was my first step in, and I got to learn the retail side of things, and then moved down to Nicaragua in 2003 and got to learn the I jumped in the deep end and learned how to swim, which is sometimes the best way to learn how to it's funny because I just saw you can come in, Bill. I'm actually here at the Owl Shop in New Haven, Connecticut. My man Bill, you want to say hi?
Hey guys.
This is probably, what year did the Owl Shop start?
1934.
1934 in the heart of Connecticut on the Yale University campus. They've been nice enough to let me chill in their humidor and talk to you guys.
Awesome.
Oh, Bill runs
Hey, Bill.
the show here. So if you're ever in New Haven, come to the Owl Shop.
Yeah, please do.
And they got great drinks here too. So I don't know where I was. Where was I?
You had just moved to Nicaragua.
I just moved to Nicaragua 2003 March. I had met Jonathan Drew when I was running retail when he first started.
Mm-hmm.
And we had exchanged contact information and kept in touch over probably a period of like 5 years, 4 years. So it was like 97 to about 2002. And I had been traveling around the world in some crazy places, Southeast Asia, Mekong River. I circumnavigated the globe with a backpack. And,
wow.
the dream, and John had been on my email list, and I think he said to himself, this guy will be crazy enough to come and live in Nicaragua, and he was right. And I moved right down to Nicaragua in March of 2003, and it's funny because I just saw, somebody asked me what really made you want to become a cigar maker, and I saw this issue in 1996. Tom Selleck, it was the winter, I think, issue of Cigar Aficionado. There was an article in the back of that Cigar Aficionado on Rolando Reyes Sr., who made a cigar at the time called Puros Indios.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this cool little article. I don't know who wrote it, but someone that went down to the factory in Honduras and really described every, the aromas in the air and the, chickens in the street and the horses on the road. And that article really was the article that made me want to become a cigar maker. So from that point, I always had dreamed of really learning how to bunch and roll cigars and wanting to really get into the production. And so that dream came true in 2003. And I moved my life down to Nicaragua and have spent the majority of my time there ever since. So it really helped, nestle in and learn tobacco from the fields to the production floor. And, I was basically in charge of everything having to do with Drew Estate, Nicaragua for 12 years and blended all the sticks that came out of there from like 03 to 2014. So, I've been really behind the curtain for a lot of years.
And right in there, I mean, to your credit, right in there is like a turning point for Drew Estate. When you joined Drew Estate, that was like when I had first started smoking cigars a little bit, and it was like, Drew Estate's a gimmick company. They just make kind of like cigars that aren't in my wheelhouse. And then through your time there, they went from like being kind of looked down upon by hardcore, like traditional cigar smokers to being like one of the top 3 brands.
Yeah, so there was a lot of stars aligning at the same time.
Yeah.
So yes, me moving down there was definitely a huge point because I loved cigars and tobacco. I didn't smoke infused cigars. It wasn't my cup of tea. I definitely appreciated them from a retail perspective.
Of course, yeah.
People that, especially when they're starting to smoke cigars, they can't go into a Tabernacle, to start. They need to adjust to the light, So I wasn't my cup of tea. That's what Drew Estate was making. So I went down to the factory. I was a hardcore Padron 3000, Maduro, Fuente, LFD. I smoked a lot of the Hoya de Monterrey at that time, a lot of broadleaf products. So I was a hardcore traditionalist personally. So as I get to the factory, what is a hardcore cigar lover supposed to do as he's now surrounded amongst all these legends in the business, tobacco? I learned to start rolling. I started learning the leaf, and I really started blending my own cigars because I didn't smoke anything. I would get cigars from Padron and some other factories at the time, but I had a lot of the leaf that was being used for the infused cigars was premium grade A leaf. So I started working on a lot of blends and blends that I was smoking and rolling up myself. So that was a period of 2 years I had been working on blends, right? 2 years into it, a company in Nicaragua called Oliva Tobacco, Nica Prosa, which is not the Oliva cigar family, it's Oliva Tampa, who had been, buying tobacco since the 20s. The Angel Oliva, the old man, I think was trading tobacco from Cuba and actually smuggled seeds out of Cuba in his belt. That's a true story. And they, growing and selling tobacco in Estelita factories. They weren't in the cigar production side, strictly leaf. They had started curing Connecticut broadleaf in about 2005, right? So this was my dream now coming true because Connecticut broadleaf is what my grandfather smoked, my great-grandfather smoked. This was the leaf that I love. I smoked a lot of Connecticut cigars when I started working at the cigar shop. So I had taken 2 years worth of blends and now took the broadleaf and made up 10 blends that I thought would work with the Connecticut broadleaf. And that's what was to become of Liga Privada number 9. So I had sent those blends that I had been working up to the office to Steve, who had just come on board. Saka had just come on board and said, "Send something I can effing smoke." and the team, they were Jones, and especially Steve, because Steve had come on board to now really market a traditional cigar to the market. So I sent those blends up, and Steve didn't stop. I think he started chain smoking. A lot of those original blends became the Unico series, and of course, one of them became LP number 9. And then that sort of started I think people started to recognize within the company, my love for blending and my talent for blending. And it really has to do with just passion and love and really just knowing the market, knowing what I love, and then, hoping that other people love, other guys and gals in the market love the cigars,
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
So, I did that, all that behind the scenes. I really didn't work on the packaging of any of these projects. It was strictly tobacco fermentation, production side of the business. I wasn't doing events. It was, I helped take the smallest factory in Nicaragua to, when I left in 2014, still the largest factory in Nicaragua. The last project, Nica Rustica, before I left, is the only project I really worked on some packaging. And that was something that had already been started, and I just finished it. So, after all of these years, I felt I built the foundation, not to be cliche, to really start my own company. And I had the knowledge, and experience to, be credible as a cigar maker and start Foundation Cigar Company. So I did that 2 years ago. It spread my wings, which was a very difficult decision, at the time, because the Nicaraguan team had become my family. Living in a foreign country, it's kind of different than working, in the States around where you live. Even when you're not working, it's still like you're a representation of the job. So all the people at work had become really my family. So that was the toughest part. But I knew I had to do it, and I'm glad I did, because due to all this FDA stuff, if I didn't do it when I did, probably couldn't start a company. So I was really, fortunate to pull the trigger when I did, and I started Foundation and launched with my first brand, El Wednesday. I thought I would challenge the marketplace phonetically for my first project.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who had a tough time with that name.
Obviously, I don't live in a complete hole, and I knew that would be a difficult one for people to pronounce. But for me, it was, again, this is love for me. This is, this is all passion. The first project, all my projects, but especially that one, because I knew, the market El Wednesday would be difficult. You can't even, it's GU. People that speak Spanish can't even pronounce it because it's a Nahuatl word indigenous to Nicaragua, but it's a cultural treasure of the world. And I thought it was important, that this really enter the market, because I wanted guys and gals that love cigars to really understand what it's been like for me to live in Nicaragua since 2003. It's made me crazy enough to launch a product that is difficult to pronounce. But, I felt that was really important because, Nicaragua people know Sandinistas, they know war, they know all this kind of negative things. And here's this cultural treasure, that's recognized by UNESCO and protected by this, they protect the pyramids, they protect Huehuense. I thought it was important that just get out there, and that people, even though they can't pronounce it necessarily, they recognize the word. And more than that, they recognize the cigar. So I knew I wanted to do 100% Nicaraguan blend, filler binder wrapper to start, and that was the cornerstone. Sorry to keep ranting.
Oh, no worries. You took us right up to our first break here, so we're going to take a quick break to thank one of our sponsors, but we'll be right back with more from Nick Melillo and a little giveaway. So get those questions in.
Brought to you by Gurkha Cigars. Gurkha Cigars, makers of the world's finest cigars. Try the 93 rated Heritage featuring Rosado, Ecuador Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and Dominican, Pennsylvanian, and Nicaraguan fillers. Blended by Gurkha's blending team at American Caribbean Cigars, it is hand-rolled Nicaraguan, available in 35-count boxes. Talk to your local B&M about the Heritage today, or talk to them about other fine Gurkha cigars. Whatever your taste preference is, Gurkha has a cigar that's right for you.
All right, welcome back to Cigar Chat on cigarfederation.com, broadcasted live on Facebook. And we're definitely going to talk about Nick's cigars a little bit more. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know to get your questions in on Facebook, those of you who are watching live. Nick, we got a little giveaway. You said you're going to give away some hats?
Yo, so yeah, you got that fresh hat on there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it. Straight from the source.
So I just got the actually UPS tracking today that the hats are en route. So definitely got some of those fresh hats. That's like one of 50 right now you're wearing.
Yeah.
Right there. So we got 50 more on the way. So I found a really high-end, nice quality hat maker. These aren't any old hats.
No, they're really not. I can absolutely attest to that. So Nick handed me one of these hats when we met up in Connecticut and said, like, I know you're a hat guy. And I kind of geeked out about it because, like, I'm a total hat geek. I counted the other day. I have about 72 hats now. This is actually my first 7-panel, which is, like, a kind of unique thing. I'll take it off and kind of show it off. So,
yeah,
it's not that normal 5 or 6 panel. It's actually got 2 panels up here and then the flat one across, which just kind of gives a different look. But then it's also got like that leather in the back. It's all the. Yeah. I mean, it's just got some nice touches.
I chose the leather as I thought the leather was nice.
Yeah, I love this hat, man. Like, this is one of my default hats. If I'm going out somewhere, this is one of the hats that I'm going to pick from.
I'm getting beat up, man. We've been kind of slow in the swag game because there's just so much. I'm trying to get cigars out to everybody in time without them all getting mad at me. So the swag game has only been really, when I'm doing events and things like that. But I'm hoping at some point to have a swag page up on the site. So right now, the swag's kind of limited. And I have that hat, and I actually have a new limited edition design that's going to be coming in at the end of the month. So
I'm excited to see that one.
That's going to take a little bit more time, but I'll do 1 and 1.
All right, so we're giving away 2 hats?
2 hats. Now, I haven't talked to you guys about this, but I do have a pack of Menelicks, too. We could also...
Oh, man.
Could also roast up.
Yeah. So we'll give away 2 hats and 1 5-pack of Menelicks. It's 5, right? Or is
5.
It 4? 5. All right, 2 hats and a 5-pack of Menelicks. Get those questions in. We'll be asking them in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about the cigars. So we already talked about the Wise Man a little bit. And then your next venture was the Tabernacle, right?
Woo-hoo!
Your return to broadleaf.
Tabernacle. I got a box hanging there. Yes, the Tabernacle. What do you think about the Tabernacle?
I love it.
I like it.
That one.
That Lancero is money.
Lanceros have been hot, man. It's funny, and double Coronas have been going kind of crazy too. It's funny to see how sizes kind of like, in different areas are hot and hot. Jim, what's up, man? You want to say hi? It's the Cigar Federation.
What's up, guys?
Jim's running the show over here at the Owl Shop. These guys put up with me a lot. Oh, those are goods now. That's the Menelik. He's taking the Menelik. He's throwing them in his. Do you want a cigar? Grab a cigar.
All right, we'll be giving away 2 hats and no Menelicks.
No. Son of the Wise Man.
So rip that shit open.
No, this is for the guys. We're giving it away online today. No, I'll get you another one. I'll get you one Friday. No swearing. See, the Menelicks are already going. So the Tabernacle, the Tabernacle in the fall of 2014, I purchased a broadleaf crop. So, I knew in order to do the broadleaf that I wanted to do, it was going to take time also. If behind the scenes of things, I also have a consulting company called Melillo International, where I'm actually involved in projects behind the scenes between farmers and suppliers, and really helping making connections where they work, and really supplying different leaves actually to the market, which actually used in a lot of different projects. But broadleaf, I was selecting for myself and some other customers, and AJ ended up purchasing that crop with me and has been curing it ever since. And yeah, man, the Tabernacle is really, my Connecticut broadleaf. You know what I mean? It's the next level of, just for me, complexity, richness, body, strength. You got the spice, you got the cocoa, you got some nougat going on. The retro hail is just, and it's balanced at the same time. I mean, it's definitely a heartier, richer smoke, but for me, it can't be all one dimensional, hitting me on my palate and just all up front spiciness or pepper. So I really want that whole mouth feel, and also the retro hail just to be amazing. So you have some beautiful San Andreas binder, and then you have just some of the top end fillers from Esteli, from Jalapa. There's a little bit in there from Honduras to give it a little something, and it's just an awesome smoke. And again, to be able to really work from the branding side of things, we have an amazing art director in Nicaragua called Thief Operandi is his street painting. His name is Alex Garcia. Big up to my man Thief. He's just able to work with me, and we just flow off each other, and he's able to really manifest the vision. And he hand painted all this, and then he was able to move it over to the shop, and it's just incredible detail. And then the printing, the gold embossing. This product, you have the Nicaragua National Flower of Nicaragua, National Tree of Nicaragua. So he did a killer job in that. And Alex and I, Thief and I, have always been a big fan of the culture of Haile Selassie, the history of the Tabernacle, which the Ethiopians claim to this day possess. The Tabernacle has always been the holding place for the Ark of the Covenant, and it was always a movable object, And ever since I started and got my first Diamond Crown humidor, when I opened up that humidor, this was my sacred box of treats. You go in there and you look at it, move them around, make sure everything is nice, and so it's always been a very special thing, cigar smoking. Especially because it started with my brother and my grandfather, and it was always a ceremony for us, and really something sacred, and that's what tobacco started as. As a sacred ritual. They say smoking actually began during smudging rituals, where they would actually burn, tobacco or herbs. The indigenous tribes, you've heard of smudging, where they take the smoke and really kind of like bless up their temple. And I think at one point somebody started inhaling that, and then it became smoking. So I always loved the name Tabernacle, and I thought it was an appropriate word, and I always wanted to use, and really, again, put out there this image of Haile Selassie, who's really been an important figure in my life, but also, just history in general. So thought it was a good combo. And the bands just came out.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of intricate detail, on the side of the band too. I used to live in Rome by an obelisk that was stolen by Mussolini in 1935.
Wow.
And it's actually on the side of the band. We sort of incorporated that. It was this obelisk that was stolen from Ethiopia, and the Ethiopians wanted it back. And when I was there, I lived right by it. Like literally, I'd walk by it every morning. When the Italians said they weren't going to return it because it would have cost them like $10 million to return it, I swear to God, 3 days later, it was struck by lightning. Blew part of the top of the obelisk off.
Wow.
Long story short, it was returned on my birthday, April 25th. So we had to put that in there. So yeah, and then you got the good old Lion of Judah right on the guarantee seal there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we were very fortunate this past July. We actually made 200 special cigars for this gentleman on the box's family. They were celebrating his 125th birthday in Ethiopia, and I was contacted by one of the friends of the family that was the head of the committee for the birthday, and we made 200 cigars for the royal family.
Wow, that's awesome.
He
was still alive at 125?
No, they were having his memorial birthday.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Family was having his 125th memorial celebration, and it was a crazy story. A gentleman from Ethiopia had been traveling to California, and he saw a box of the Tabernacles, purchased them, brought them back to Ethiopia, and was eating with another gentleman who said, I bought a box of cigars with Haile Selassie on the box. And the gentleman responded to him, yes, that's Nick Melillo, the Tabernacle. He's a friend of mine. I had been friends with him, a friend of his on Instagram for like 3 years because he has a smoking community in Ethiopia. And we had been in touch and become pretty good friends over the years. So that's how the connection came.
Wow, that's nuts. You have some interesting connections that you make. Jason, I'm going to let you take the next question because we got audience questions rolling in, and I don't want to be the only one asking questions on here.
Okay, so I'm going to drop into one of your new things. It was actually, I think it's kind of interesting and different from everything else that one might typically think. But what's going on with the Upsetters line?
Upset the nation. Yes, the Upsetters. The Upsetters. We've got every box here.
There you go.
Right?
There we go.
I love that image.
Yeah, this image right here is an image really based off an old cult Jamaican movie classic called The Harder They Come, which is, I don't know if you know Jimmy Cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is based on that, and then it's based on reggae art albums from like the late 60s, early 70s. Everybody was, at that time, was really obsessed with spaghetti westerns in Jamaica. So a lot of the ska, rocksteady, reggae albums at the time had The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, different, seeing a lot of times they were smoking cigars too. So, and it's also was an old house band by a gentleman named Lee Scratch Perry, who was really the founder of all of this modern day, like dubstep, techno, all that kind of music comes from the roots is really from this time period. When I started smoking cigars in '96, a lot of cigars were being made in Kingston, Jamaica. You had the Cifuentes factory, the Little Jamaica factory. All the Macanudos at that time were being made there. Temple Hall. So I had been falling in love with reggae, ska, rocksteady music, and at the same time, I was falling in love with cigars. So I had always dreamed of, again, doing a brand where I can incorporate these two things. And I thought, in our portfolio, I thought it would be great to have, an infused cigar in the market. Again, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I felt that there was a need for it because there's not really that much competition in this market segment.
No, definitely not.
That, the market is built on competition. So, I thought the market really needed it. And, I really wanted to get creative. And again, Alex, our art director, I mean, he's just, he's he's a DJ too, so he's making a lot of music. So this was a really fun project for him to work on, and so I traveled to Jamaica about 3 years ago when I was working on the Wawense project for Bob Marley's birthday, and I didn't realize people were still growing tobacco in Jamaica. So I went to Bob's birthday just sort of like on a whim, because I just realized like 3 days before his birthday, I flew from Nicaragua to Kingston and showed up at Bob Marley's house, and there happened to be a party open to the public, birthday celebration. And then I noticed some guys that were pulling whole tobacco leaves out of their pocket. And then I started traveling up into the mountains. And then I started meeting some people that were remnants of the cigar industry, and small crop farmers that were growing a strain called cow tongue, which the reason they call it cow tongue because it's much more narrow than say Cuban seed or broadleaf. So we ended up purchasing some tobacco, sending it to Nicaragua and blending it and infusing it and curing it in Nicaragua. And we came with the upsetters. So when I launched the project a year ago, I only had one sales person on at the time. So we've been really taking things slow, because we want to make the right steps. So at the time, I had been talking to Miami Cigar Company. They came on for a year and distributed the product, and we just brought it back in house because we were, we formed our whole sales team throughout the country, and we just got it back last month. So Rick Ardito, who's a good friend of mine, who we actually worked together over at True Estate. He was actually one of the first guys I met from True Estate back in '97, because he was from Guilford, Connecticut, and he used to come into the shop all the time, and we formed a friendship. He left, I think, back in 2010, I want to say, around that time, and he was working for 724 at one time, and then I came up with this project and told him about it and gave him the whole story, and he came on board and has been leading the project. So it's been exciting. It's interesting.
Wow.
It's interesting to see, amongst the hardcore guys, they kind of like tweak out a little bit sometimes, but
Of course.
To each his own. I can't,
Yeah, I hear you. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back, and we're going to answer some audience questions when we get back.
This show is sponsored by Cigar Oasis. Don't spend all your time worrying about your cigar wrappers cracking, splitting, or falling apart from humidity fluctuation issues. Set it and forget it by choosing Cigar Oasis, a professional solution which provides equal distribution of humidity with precise electronic controls. Monitor your cigars through the internet using the Smart Humidor Wi-Fi attachment. Why don't you spend all your time enjoying your cigars and relaxing, and let Cigar Oasis protect your cigars? Cigar Oasis has solutions for any humidor. Make sure you set it and forget it today.
All right, and we're back with Cigar Chat with none other than Nicholas Melillo. That's I just answered an audience question for you. Gerard J. Shelley said, "Got here late. Is that Nick?" Gerard, you just got yourself an entry into a giveaway. Lucky you. You had good timing.
Wait,
all right, let me go. Well, no, we're not giving anything away yet. I'm just taking down of people who might win. And then at the end, I'll kind of...
Bill just came in here. He's streaming the show.
Cigars,
What do you need? Cigars? What do you need?
all right, here's a really good question from Robert Downey. He wants to know what your favorite cigar of all time is, Nick.
Ooh.
Cigar of all time?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Besides yours. And I feel like that's a...
Understand this response, though. I would say one of my favorite cigars of all time is Puros Indios No. 2 Torpedo, but only from the crop year 1996. Okay? If you think I'm like being... That cigar in 1996 was one of the most amazing cigars I've ever smoked. And it was only that year. If you look at that year, the Puros Indios No. 2 Torpedo was ranked pretty much on top with Opus X number 2 and Monte Cristo number 2 and Cigar Aficionado. That's the Tom Selleck issue of that magazine. One of the best
Keep
cigars.
bringing it back to Tom Selleck.
Dude, Tom Selleck that's a legendary issue right there for me. So he's all in the tuxedo, I think like a tuxedo, a white tuxedo. That's one of them. I only get one?
I mean, you could keep going if you want. You could talk about some more.
One of the best cigars I've ever smoked?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. I'll keep going. Liga Privada number 9 when I first blended it. That was the first time it came off and I smoked that thing. Ridiculous. Same goes with Tabernacle. Still to this day out of this world. See, now you got me on a Wednesday. Beautiful. I used to smoke a lot of Padrones back in like late 90s, 3000. Like that cigar was like cocoa.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to smoke a lot of Opus X number 2 back in that day. So there's a lot, man. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, you're a cigar geek at heart. You're not just a guy here to make money.
No.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying. Anyone in the cigar industry isn't here to make money.
Listen, to be able to do something that I love and I feel passionate about and make a living, this is great. I think it's amazing. So, but it's something I love, man. I've always, loved cigars. That's why for me, making cigars too, and then smoking cigars. And when I'm smoking my cigars, I can put myself as a customer. Like I put on the hat of Nick going into a cigar shop trying a cigar. You know what I mean? Like when I smoked a cigar, like the Wise Man Maduro, when I tried this after it had aging time on it for the first time, I was actually smoking with my man in New York City at Nat Sherman, my man Juan. We went out to lunch and then we came back and it's the first time I was lighting up the cigar. Smoked it. I was looking at Juan. He was looking at me. And then you're just like, wow, that's a effing good smoke right there. It's not like just because, of course, I'm biased, but I take myself out of that and then smoke the cigar because I gotta really love it. You know what I mean? Like it's gotta.
Yeah.
And each cigar that I've made, I really love, and each is really different because they're all different as far as the blends, but they're all blends that.
So that actually I had that exact same reaction the first time I smoked it, and that's what I'm smoking tonight. I love this cigar. Yep. So the first day of the IPCPR, like the negative first day, day 0 of the IPCPR, everybody's in there setting up and stuff. I went and I got my badge, and I went in to help Logan set up his coffee at your booth.
Right.
And
that was
as
fun.
we were leaving, Logan's like, "Here, I got you guys some cigars." And we went over to check out the Westgate, which was not a good situation. And we couldn't find a seat, so we went over to like a bar that was actually closed, that was right off the edge of the floor. And all three of us lit up El Huehuense Maduros, and we looked at each other, and it was like, this is effing amazing. I can't believe how good this is. And still, at the very least for the week of the show, it was the best cigar I smoked the whole show. And it was the first cigar that we smoked from the show. And I keep smoking them.
Some reviews, some blind reviews, very humbling. Last week I was smoking Highclere Castle all week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, the Toro I was smoking a lot of. That cigar was blowing my mind. Completely different blend. But, I tell these guys, because a lot of people look at it, hardcore guys, Connecticut shade, and, people are not, sometimes the hardcore guys, they sort of like move their mind past Connecticut shade. But the binder of that cigar is Matafina Brazil. Matafina Brazil is one of my favorite tobaccos, but a rich, darker tobacco. really heavy. So I've been telling guys, have you ever smoked a Maduro cigar with a Connecticut shade wrapper before? And they're like, look, it's sideways. That's this cigar, because that brings all the filler tobaccos together, where I'm able to use heavier fillers. You know, I'm not using crazy ligeros and whatnot, but heavier fillers, and then that Matafina sort of rounds them all out. Because that Connecticut shade is so thin. You know, it's so beautiful, it's so elegant, but you need some buffer of strength if you're going to get some strength in there. And that's what I think what happens a lot of time with Connecticut shades is people really either use, you know, a lot of Seikos, you know, keep the strength level down, and then it gets sort of that bitter kind of business going on, or they go too strong, and it really, you know, then it's too much. It can be too aggressive. And for me, that cigar, you know, definitely a lighter bodied cigar, but just tons of flavor. And
yeah, I actually smoked one tonight, right before the show.
Size.
It was actually the Toro. And I was blown. That was the first time I've smoked it on a clean palate, because I think I smoked one or two at the IPCPR. And I thought, you know, this is a great cigar, but it's hard to get a really good read when you've been smoking like 12 cigars a day. And talking all day. It's hard to get like a really good read on the cigar, but not to spoil my upcoming review of it, but I really liked it. And it really, like you were saying, it doesn't smoke like a Connecticut even a little bit. It's got that soul of a Connecticut a little bit, but it's got so much more body and strength and spice that I wasn't expecting out of, you know, the outward appearance of the cigar.
Best way I can describe it to guys is that Connecticut shade is that beautiful evening gown. You know, really nice on the eyes, very pleasant to look at. And then that Matafina is that underneath Victoria black lace holding everything. And it does its job perfectly, you know. And it really, I was actually, when I was working on the blend, you know, had been working a lot with San Andreas binder. And then for some reason, you know, I had been working and talking with AJ at the time, because he hadn't had, I think, a lot of Matafina's portfolio. He ended up bringing it on for me, which is amazing. And he pulled it out of inventory, and I put that on, and it was just like, that was it. That just brought everything together. And, you know, what an amazing, we had Lord Carnarvon here for Highclere Castle last week in Connecticut, and it was his first time really traveling with me to shops around the Northeast, and it was just amazing, man. I mean, Lord Carnarvon is, I mean, the guy just, you know, to be able to be working with all these brands, you see I love history in a lot of these brands.
Oh, yeah.
So to work on Highclere Castle, it just really, you know, just brings everything together, you know, as far as a brand for the company and working with Highclere. You know, this isn't just a brand where we're licensing. We formed a whole nother company where we're all partners together. You know, so it's not just some licensing thing, and, you know, Lord Carnarvon's not involved, and it's some gimmick because of Downton Abbey and this is the real deal, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do gimmicks.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not me, man. Everything we're doing here is just, you know, true to the core. And the moment, you know, a good friend of mine, Adam, here from Connecticut, owns a distillery and is working with Lord Carnarvon on Highclere Castle whiskey, which is going to be amazing. That's soon to be launched in the coming year or so. Look out for that. So, you know, he had become really good friends with Lord Carnarvon and his wife, and when he introduced us, you know, it was just an honor, first of all, to, you know, meet him, and so much history. You know, being a history buff, his great grandfather discovered King Tut's tomb. For God's sake, was a huge cigar smoker. I mean, I was able to access, you know, the archives through their archivists, these history, and they're on the actual Highclere Castle website. You can see some of the documents that I was able to read. You know, again, you said I'm a cigar geek. I start geeking out. The cigars have been an integral part of this castle. They have a cigar room, you know, a smoking room. This is would happen after dinner. You would go and smoke a cigar, and to really have access to that and use that as the inspiration for this line, just amazing. And to hear the stories of Lord Carnarvon of cigar smoking, of the formation of Canada. He was telling a story at dinner, and just it's amazing. He's so down to earth at the same time, very much into agriculture and farming, and just awesome stuff, man. So that's this has definitely been great to this is our Rolls Royce portfolio, and I think it's fitting in nicely. It's been shipping over the past couple of weeks. Fortunately, we were set back a couple weeks due to the hurricanes and weather, and people didn't realize there was a tropical storm that hit Nicaragua, and things have been kind of slow, moving. But yeah, we've been trying to get everything out before the holidays so people can enjoy.
And before we get to our next question, the last segment here is brought to you by Drew Estate. They good. Yum. Smoke some Drew Estate.
Bless up.
Bless up. Jason, I just pinged you an audience question because I'm hogging all the time. Can you ask that? If you've got it in front of you. If you don't, it's not a big deal.
We got some listeners out there?
Yeah, so Don Bleeker wants to know what's your favorite Vitola, and does it vary depending on the blend?
Great question, Don Bleeker. That is an awesome question. Favorite Vitola? It does. It depends on. I kind of go in and out. Typically, my size has always been 6x52 Toro. That's just always been kind of my size, and that's actually the size I usually start with in the blending process. Because I feel it's a really great size, lengthwise, ring wise, to really get the fullness of the blend, and then I really work from there. But I love Coronas, love a good Corona. I rarely get time to really sit down and smoke like a double Corona or a much larger cigar than a Toro. I've been smoking the Robustos and these a lot. Last week I was smoking actually Highclere Castle Coronas because those were just smoking incredible. So it does. It depends on sort of my mood. It depends on how much time I have, and then also my smoking experience is different a lot because I'm a lunatic for just checking quality control, making sure everybody's having a good smoking experience.
Yeah.
If I could smoke everybody's cigar, this is kind of weird, but everybody's cigar before you smoke it, just to make sure it's smoking right and burning correctly and constructed properly, because I want, spend my life doing that quality control. So, but Lanceros I like from time to time.
Oh yeah,
a nice Lancero. I like the Petite Corona from time to time.
Petite Coronas are good because they're situationally good. When you don't have time for a full cigar and you just have time for Petite Corona, it just hits the spot.
Yep.
I'll probably be smoking more Coronas when I'm traveling up north now, colder weather, things like that. So, yeah, depends.
I've got a what I'm assuming is going to be a kind of a tough question from Allison Trainer. Nick, what is your favorite cigar that you've ever blended? It's like picking which kid you get to pull out of the fire.
Yeah, that really is that way. Yeah, what I tell people too with tobaccos a lot of times, it's not necessarily one tobacco is better than the other. Every tobacco has its own characteristic. You know what I mean? Its own time and place. So it's the same thing, man. Like, Wense, they're all my favorites. They are. I mean, it really is tough. That's like having me try to pick my favorite Bob Marley song.
That leads into the next question. This is an easy question. I can answer this one for you if you really want. What's your go-to genre of music to listen to while having a cigar?
I have to say roots, roots reggae. Not like that slackness, like the roots, like all that reggae from late 60s, early 70s, up to Bob. When I first heard Bob Marley, I listened to Bob Marley like 2 years straight. That's all I listened to was Bob Marley. Anything I could get my hands on. At that time, you didn't have YouTube and all this stuff. So, be getting rare CDs from Japan and, all this crazy stuff. But, I love hip hop. I love blues. I love, I listen to R&B, jazz, again, it depends. It's almost like cigars too. It depends on your mood. It depends on, what you're really feeling at the time. And, I was on like a Tupac kick last month because I saw the Tupac movie, which I thought was,
I heard that. I was gonna watch it, and I kept hearing so good things.
Didn't even come close to Straight Outta Compton, but then I had to go deep into like Tupac interviews and only Tupac. And this week I'm on a little bit of an R&B kick. I found a Janet Jackson and Q-Tip track that I hadn't heard in a while.
Oh man. That one was from Brad DeJong, and so is this one, but this is a really good question. Can you relax smoking your own cigars, or are you constantly in quality control mode?
Ooh. Who asked that question?
Brad DeJong.
Brad. Great question. Yeah, I'm working a lot, man. I'm always quality control. It's only when I'm like on the weekend, or like at night, where I can really relax and just enjoy a smoke. Fully. I mean, I'm enjoying it now. Like I enjoy. Yeah. I don't like smoke and like move around a lot. Like when I'm at the show, I rarely smoke a cigar because I'm talking the whole time. I'm moving. I just always have one, and I'm a chewer. Like the old school Connecticut broadleaf guys here in Connecticut, they don't even like it anymore. They just chew and cut. So I chew, especially broadleaf. Like I like to chew, have a Charter Oak in my mouth and, have a nice broadleaf. But, when I'm like this, like right now, like I'm enjoying, Good. Because I'm always putting myself in that state, not only from, quality control, is it burning correctly, is it drawing correctly, but am I enjoying the flavor profiles, the experience, so that's part of the quality control process. But, to the point where I'm not thinking about those kind of things, it's really just like, like Thanksgiving, I'll be chilling. And, I'm looking forward to some of these holidays coming up because it's been nonstop. But, Christmas time, and I'll be chilling with my brother, and we'll have a nice smoke. So
I'm going to ask one more audience question for now, and then let Jason ask a couple because I've really been hogging all the time. This is a question from Vincenzo Scarduzio.
Vincenzo.
And this is a really good question. This is a really, really good question that I'm really excited to hear the answer for. Would you ever do a collaboration with Saka?
I'm not close to collaborations.
All right.
I'm not close to collaborations. I think it's difficult. Steve and I had talked, before we both launched. I was really close at one point to opening up a factory. Steve was going to be, wanting to make his stuff in the factory, and we talked about collaborating too before that. But, all this FDA stuff has really changed the climate.
Yeah, it really has.
Crazy time. And I think collaborations just become, much more difficult. And, I think both, Steve and I were fortunate to make a launch before, we waited any longer. It was really perfect timing. And, I think it's great too, because the market, you end up getting even more more cigars out in the market. More cool things happening. So, but if there's ever a possibility, definitely see that happen. If the FDA, we get an exemption, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Then if we get an exemption, it's going to be Collaboration City. Well,
It'll be the next cigar boom. There'll just be cigars everywhere. Only because people will be so excited to make new cigars again.
it might be too much, man. It might be too much.
All right, Jason, I'm going to let you ask a couple questions before we wrap up our AFRN segment.
So as kind of a direct follow-up to that, was there anything that you were working on that you were not able to get out before the FDA deadline that is kind of still out there?
I didn't go completely crazy, because for me, developing these brands, I know the market over the years, everybody's got so accustomed to like new things. I really, each brand that I've come out with has my heart and soul in it. Like, just really everything that I've got has come out into these brands, like from every inch of the packaging to the blend. And I really created all these brands to be brands that I would hope will be around in 10, 20, 30 years from now. So I got pretty much everything I wanted to get out in the market out. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people haven't seen yet, that will get out there. But I didn't get 1,000, freaking brands rushed into the market.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot, and if people have done that, it's awesome. I mean, in a way, it would be great, because it is tough that you get these limitations that are being put on you, from a competition standpoint. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I got the stuff I wanted to out there. So
nice.
So there'll be some surprise.
All right, Jason, one more question.
All right, so final thing is a little bit about you personally, I guess, outside of the cigars. Is like, what do you like to do? Like when you're hanging out, not necessarily working on cigars or smoking cigars.
I pretty much work 24 hours. Literally since March, I don't think I've had a full weekend. From the preparation to the show. Like, people don't, it's tough, man, because we've been, knock on wood, the products are being received really well, and we're turning product at the stores, and we've moved into a new office in March that's on a 50-acre tobacco farm in the heart of Connecticut. Tripp was fortunate to have Tripp over there.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of style, and it's an old farmhouse. So, man, literally when I said I'm putting my everything into it, it's been nonstop, man. So I haven't had time. The only thing I've had time for is Game of Thrones. I got into it. And binge watched Game of Thrones. I love music. So if I can get out to see live music, any type of live music, I love to see live music. I love to see performance. I've been fortunate to, see some cool acts recently. Hey, who's that? Yo, what's up, man? How you doing? I'm doing an interview right now on Cigar Federation. It's good to see you. Yeah, I'm going to be around.
So I'm at Elm City.
Okay.
Right?
All right, but come back. I just got to finish with these guys. We're in live. Sorry, guys. Music I love. I was able to see some cool, Dave Chappelle I love. So comedy I love. I was fortunate to see Dave Chappelle. Last year, I was able to go through a good friend of mine to, the after party for SNL when Dave.
Wow.
A year ago, this month. So a good friend of mine, Derek Jones, aka D Nice, who's a big cigar fan. It's awesome. He invited me there, so I got to see that. And some live acts for music and stuff, and that was killer. So my friends out in Colorado, they're called the Reminders. They're a hip hop duo, actually husband and wife. Last year in December, actually, when I got off for break, they were actually touring through the Northeast. So I got to go on tour with them. They came through the Northeast, House of Blues. They were touring with a band called Thievery Corporation, which is a great sort of dub reggae kind of electronic dance, like a fusion of all these things. So I went on tour with them. That was fun, man. That was my stress release. If I can go on tour with those guys, the Reminders are like my family. They've been really keeping me sane over the past, since I met them. Years ago we met. They were open up for Nas like 4 years ago. I came in from Nicaragua because I was actually going to see Mos Def because I always wanted to see Mos Def. He canceled. Mm-hmm. Nas ended up playing the show, and I ended up walking in, and the Reminders were on the stage, and they were just setting fire to the stage. It was the first time I had seen them perform, and we just became really good friends after that, man. And so that's fun. I like to hike from time to time, like Nicaragua. I go to a place, my quiet spot is like up in the mountains overlooking Esteli. There's like a little family there that owns an organic farm, and they have like a little bed and breakfast, just the freshest of juices. And, I go up there for breakfast on the weekend. They don't have orange juice. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, hold on. Guy comes out, climbs a tree, grabs some oranges, comes back, makes orange
juice.
That's cool. My friend, yeah. We got guys watching live here at the Owl Shop. They're showing me the Cigar Fed.
Your live studio audience.
Your live studio audience forming out here. And, again, my friend and art director, Thief Operandi, is become a pretty big. Yo, what's up, dog? How you doing, man? Good to see you. We're getting feedback on this now. Look at this. So, Thief has become an underground DJ for like electronic music in Nicaragua. So I've been traveling with him, on the weekend when he's got shows. You want to say hi? You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Robert Downey, also Zach Hawk. But what's up, guys?
What's up, man?
What's up?
Sketchball. Oh, man. Yeah, dang. I was going to unfriend you on Facebook. I was like, who is this guy? Hi, man. Robert Downey. Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll be out in a sec. Give me your... Oh, shit. All right. I'll be out in a couple seconds. Robert Downey.
He might win something tonight.
So I guess I like to take some time and do some things, but literally, it's all this stuff has been like before March because it's just been nonstop here. So I like to eat pizza.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I come here to Connecticut, my brother lives in Little Italy next to two of the oldest pizza places in Connecticut. Coal oven pizzas. I'm starting to look like a pizza. It's just unbelible.
Is one of those Pepe's?
Pepe's is one, and
yeah,
they're right down.
Pepe's and Sal's.
There's always the question: who do you like better, Pepe's or Sally's? I love them both, but they're really good people. And Sally's guys, and one of the sons is a big cigar smoker. He loves Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
So he's So they treat me well in there. I actually took Lord Carnarvon and the Highclere crew to Pepe's on Saturday, and it was great. Lord Carnarvon was loving it. The pizza and a pitcher of beer, and we were in heaven.
Oh, there we go. All right. So now it's before we wrap up, it's time to do the giveaways. Do you want me to do a random number generator, or do you want to pick some winners for your favorite questions?
Oh, that's tough, man. I'm going to have to do the random number generator. All
right.
Because I can't be biased to to like guys like Robert Downey here.
All right, let me mash the button a little bit. So our first winner is Gerard. So Gerard Shelley. Send me an email, tripp, at cigarfederation.com with your mailing address, and we will get you either a hat or some Meneliks. Do you want to pick the prizes now, and I'll just email you what to send to who?
You talking to me?
Yeah, or do you want to just pick them later?
You talking to me? What are we? Yeah, you want to email?
I'll just email you 3 addresses, and you can pick whatever you want.
Okay.
All right, our next one is going to be Don Bleeker. Don, send me an email. Give me your address. Nick's going to get you something cool. And then lastly, we have Allison Trainer. Allison Trainer, email me, tripp at cigarfederation.com. Tripp with 2 P's.
Yeah. I got to say, people messaging me on Facebook and whatnot, I apologize. I've been really bad at getting back to all messages. I'm inundated and overwhelmed with a lot. So, saying to all the people that I haven't been able to reach out to, it's tough. It's tough, but I love you all. I love you all.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening or watching, commenting, asking questions, giving us thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Everybody out there listening on the Armed Forces Radio Network, we hope we gave you an hour of just kind of relaxing time. Hopefully you had time for a cigar, maybe one of Nick's cigars. We appreciate everything you guys are doing out there, things that we're not built to do. Yeah,
it's great to be broadcasted, and words can't express all the thanks and gratitude to everybody out there in the Armed Forces. God bless.
We'll be back next week with another episode. We're going to have Eddie from Gurkha Cigars. And who knows, we may have a giveaway that week, so keep tuned. Everybody have a great night.
Peace.